Welcome, one and all, to this week's episode of Síle Show. Here's the thing. Have you ever decided that you wanted to buy a particular car and then, almost overnight, you begin seeing that exact same model of car literally everywhere? Or better still, perhaps you choose the colour of new car that you're going to buy and suddenly it seems as though every second car on the road is that very colour. It's almost as if the world has suddenly reorganised itself to mysteriously roll out car after car in your chosen colour or desired model. Of course, that is not the case. As we know, those cars were always already there. What has changed is that your brain has decided in that moment in time, quite categorically, for obvious reasons, as discussed, what exact model and colour of car are worthy of your attention. What you think about, you bring about. Well, this remarkable neural process is connected to a filtering system within the brain known as the reticular activating system, RAS to its friends. Every moment of every day, our brains are receiving far more information than we could ever consciously process. And the RAS is helping us to filter this constant stream of information, allowing certain things to come forward and other things to fade into the background. Quite simply, it's helping us to decide what to prioritise in terms of what we put our attention on at any given time. And that, my dear friends, is both our power and our kryptonite. Because whatever we repeatedly pay attention to, give airplay to, cycle in the story of, whether overtly or with your quiet voice inside, we become more likely to get a lot more of exactly that. And if we continue to search for reasons why something isn't working or won't work, our brains become incredibly efficient at finding evidence to support that exact narrative. Equally though, when we begin focusing on growth and opportunity, we start noticing and recognising possibilities that may have been there all along, but we didn't see them because we were operating on a different frequency. What we put our attention on influences our perception. Perception influences meaning making, and of course the meaning that we make of things shapes the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what's possible. Well, today's guest has lived many lives. She's a hairstylist, she's a salon owner, she's a session stylist, she's a mentor with Miss Ireland, Miss Universe and Miss Teen Ireland, and she continues to grow a number of businesses, embracing creativity and style, and all whilst navigating the day-to-day stuff of normal family life. More recently, she's undergone significant personal transformation, not least in choosing to undergo life-changing weight loss surgery. But what fascinates me most is not simply the many chapters that she's lived, rather the page-turning moments in her life when something shifted internally, and when over time that internal paradigm shift began to shape her external world, well before transformation of any kind is visible. You can be sure that the belief system that it's rooted in has been taking strong hold somewhere much quieter. Big change is nurtured as a feeling state way before it surfaces as biology and biography. So, who have I? Well, without further ado, Jenny Russell, the heartiest of Síle Show welcomes to lovely you.
Hi, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
Good.
You're so welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
It is a pleasure. Jenny, will you take us right back and introduce us to young Jenny?
Okay, young Jenny. Young Jenny was very quiet. Young Jenny never really mixed with people. I come from a family of 6, so I have 5 younger brothers. I would have been very quiet and very meek. I probably would have been a little bit of a snob. Didn't like the fact that my mother had like a gang of kids. So I stayed with my grandmother everywhere. I wouldn't go on holidays with them because it was like loads of kids. So I was pretty quiet and meek. I used to dance. Yeah, I used to do different things. But like I come from a really, I would say, different type of a house.
What do you mean by different now?
Well, there were 6 of us, and then my mum and dad. You know, when you're talking to people, and I've come across a lot of people, and they're all talking about their childhoods, and they're all saying how hard. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't live a cherished life, We didn't go hungry. We didn't have a lot. But I came from a very positive house. You know, we were told we could do whatever we wanted in life. Nothing was ever, oh, you couldn't do that. You're not smart enough. My dad was a taxi man. My mum worked in printing house for years, and she was one of the managers. So she would have been over all the guys. So she knew how to control the men. And I think that's the thing with me and all of my mum, my grandmother. They all controlled. They were all the controllers. They weren't the submissives at all. They ruled the roost.
Interesting. A long line of strong women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and it's funny because my grandmother had 3 girls. She had a son, and he was caught dead at 6 months. And then she had 3 girls. But my mum's 3 sisters all only had 1 girl each. So there's never been a line of girls.
Interesting. And are all the girls very strong women?
Yeah, in different ways. You can see where I'm the eldest granddaughter of all the grandchildren. And I'd sort of rule all the cousins, as much as they'd hate to admit it. They would be afraid of me finding out if they'd done something.
So Jenny, there's obviously a closeness in your wider family
We're
group.
very close. So when we were kids, we all went on holidays together. So my mum and her 2 sisters went on holidays. So we always mixed. So, you know, when people say, oh, I'd see my cousin on the holidays, we all went to my grandmother's on a Sunday.
I love that.
Do you know,
yes.
we all said we had dinner. We all killed each other. Like if somebody was going somewhere, the kids were all dumped in. I mean, I remember being in, you know, the estate cars, and there could have been about 10 kids in the back of the car, you know, sitting on top of each other. You know, it was just different times.
But a beautiful sense of tribe. You knew to whom you belonged.
Yeah. And we'd still be like that. Like my cousin's kids we'd all, like still to this day, if there's a family thing on, we're all still together. Yeah. Like there's probably 2 that have drifted off in their own way, but they've got their own issues to deal with. So, you know, that's where they are. It's wrong in where they're gone and what their ways are, but that's their choice and they have to deal with the consequences. But other than that, no, we're all really close. We're a small family.
Yeah, you know, you say a small family, but 3 sisters and all of their children. And previously, Nana. Is Nana still with us?
No. My grandmother passed 31 years ago.
Oh, gosh. Wow. Okay.
Like, yeah.
So, but that lovely sense of camaraderie and collegiality and connection and wider family group, whether you're 20 or 50, it's the fact that you have established that pivotal connection, I think, that's the really important part of that story.
Yeah.
That we live in a world of no connection.
You know, today things are different. People are different. Social media is great. It is really great. It's made people's lives, people can connect from all over the world, but it's also made people very lonely and that they don't know how to physically communicate with people. Like I have friends that can text me all day, put them in front of me with a cup of coffee, and you have to drag a conversation out of them. Where if I text them, I'd get more information. So I just think society has changed for good and for bad.
Yeah, in how we show up for each other.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what do you think? So obviously social media is a huge part of that because we're doing a lot of our connecting with each other in that space, that digital space, which is not real. And what else?
I don't know. I mean, look, my kids keep tracking me on top of social media. Like my kids sometimes go on to Instagram to see where I am. Do you know, and they go, oh, Mom, are you downstairs? And then I'll get a text. Oh, no, I see you're in London. Okay. And I'm like, great. Yeah, like, do you know what? Social media has all its good and its bad. But then a lot of people, and this would be one thing I would say to a lot of the girls, especially any of the girls that I work with that are influencers or in the Miss Ireland, Miss Universe, what you put out there is what people see of you. And it takes 5 minutes to do one really good picture. And I mean, I have taken that picture 100 times for certain people and they know who they are to get that one good picture. And then they could be on the floor crying their eyes out and their life is falling asunder. But other people are not seeing what really goes on in their life because they only put on social media what they want people to see.
Okay, now let me just make sure I'm picking up what you're putting down. So they look like they have the life. They look like they're living the dream, but actually they're quite broken on the inside.
They're quite hard. Like you put stuff out on social media, you're going to get haters. People, look, the Irish are the biggest begrudgers. You know, if somebody is doing well, say, you know, good job. You've done really well. Proud of you. Where it's easier for people to go, oh, stay if you, oh, do you see your hair that way? Oh, you could see that wrong. Or I didn't like those shoes. Or should you see the state of her the other day doing this? Who does she think she is? Where they're trying to make a life. They're trying to make a few pounds. They may have come from working the shittiest job. And they will throw the glam on. They will take the photograph. They will put it out there. They'll turn up for events. They'll smile. And they could be in that room with 100 haters. Do you know, their life is on,
yes. Oh my goodness.
Their life is on show. So it's hard. So like,
I hear what you're saying. You know, we had that very unfortunate moment, which was well documented this week, where we have our stunning, beautiful Irish model who was debased for her accent. Did you see that?
No.
Well, I'm not going to steal somebody else's moment or story. But the most beautiful girl who has such a fabulous media presence, and she was annihilated for her accent, her own beautiful accent, with which she has been speaking all of her life. And people just thought you're beautiful until you open your mouth.
Well, look.
Do you know that story?
I don't know who we're talking about, but I'm actually going to put out Maura Higgins, who was a contestant one of our Miss Irelands. And when Maura turned up on Love Island, and they were all like, oh my God, you know, she's this and she's that. Look at Maura now.
Yeah.
Look at her now. She's one of the most successful pieces of art.
Yeah.
Because she's an art piece at the moment. Yes. Whatever they've done with her, like Maura has like transformed. She's stunning.
Yeah.
But who has the right to say how anyone speaks?
I know.
Or what anyone. It's the same. I was in London the other day and I would not be racist at all. I don't care what colour you are, who you are, where you come from, as long as you don't harm anyone and you have a good heart. And I was in the train station and this guy, well into his 70s, on a crutch. And it was a Muslim girl, I'd say she was in her 20s, on her phone, minding her own business. And he literally walked up and hit her with his crutch and called her awful names. And I was like, oh my God, like, why? Why? You know, I know there's a lot going on with people, and look, this country's seen a lot of racists going on at the moment. There's a lot of different attacks. And I'm not going to sit here and say there isn't bad people coming into the country, but we also have some of our own that are antagonising trouble as well.
And we're better than that, Jenny.
Yeah,
we can do better. We can do better. There's one race, the human race.
Yeah, we all bleed. Yeah. We all breed. We all live.
Yeah.
Do you know?
We need to remember humankind.
That's it.
Kind is the epicenter of everything that moves forward.
Look, it really is. Like, you know, who gives us the right to choose who anyone else is?
Yeah. So these beautiful girls in the pageants that you mentor are having the time of their lives in one way, and yet they have a lot of repair work perhaps to do in another way because they're public facing.
Yeah, like, you know, when you're putting yourself out there, so we just say to the girls, you know, when they're entering, they're all beautiful, all different shapes, sizes, different, like, you know, we had a black Miss Ireland a couple of years ago, very successful, and Pam has done amazing. And the comments and remarks were like, she can't be Miss Ireland, she's not Irish. I'm sorry to tell a lot of people out there that somewhere along the line, we became United Colours Benetton, and you can be Irish and you can be any colour. Do you know, you don't have to be born with white, red hair to be an Irish colleen.
I happen to know her. She's gorgeous. I did an acting course with her a number of years ago.
Yeah,
and
that was amazing.
I meet her at the festivals regularly. She's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And we had Maxuda on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Maxuda was on.
Again, would have come in for a lot of criticism, and people would wonder how she gets to qualify as Irish, and she is Irish.
She is Irish.
Yes.
And this is the thing. They have to show their Irish passport.
Yeah.
So, yes, some may not be born in Ireland, but they're Irish residents. So they've gotten that. So they can come in. They have to show their Irish passport.
Yes.
We have come up against, we've had some stunning girls, and you'd ask for their passport and they wouldn't have one. So they can't enter. And we are a multinational nation now. Like, we have so mixed. But when the girls come in, it is tough on them. Look, they have great time. They learn how to walk. They learn how to talk. Miss Universe and Miss Ireland are polar opposites. Polar opposites. Miss Universe it's your walk. It's your stand. It's your whole pop on that stage. It's your presence. It's more the beauty, the sassy is Miss Universe. Miss Ireland is completely opposite. It's all about the heart. It's about the intelligence. It's about grace. So you're looking at, Kate Middleton is Miss Ireland, and Naomi Campbell is Miss Universe.
Yes.
They're the two, so you're looking for that sass, spark, fight your way to this, I'm the beautiful lady and I will not, and I will smile and I will kill you with a look, but it's all good. And that's the total. And when we get girls entering and you're looking at them, you're going, you're in the wrong pageant. And we did have that with our current Miss Ireland. She was in a Miss Universe, and I was like, you're in the wrong one. You need to go to the other one. And she did, and she won. So it's
well
great.
Spotted. That's why you're the mentor, obviously.
You can see it. Like the guys that owned the Miss Ireland, Miss Universe, Brendan and Sean, they were like, a lot of people don't see the work that goes on behind the scenes. And there's so much planning that goes into the show. There's so much legal work that goes on behind the scene, that a lot of people don't see. And meetings are held with the town meetings with the world. So they have their world meetings and the guys have to sit in on them. And they have to, some people say, could you not just let that slide? No, you can't. Rules are rules. We've gotten torn apart with Miss Ireland where, why can't you be married? Why can't you have a child? They're Miss World's rules. We can't turn around and say, well, go. Miss World, look, if you win Miss World, you literally travel the world doing charity work for a year. So you can't be expected to leave your children at home.
So it mightn't be very family friendly.
Yes. Or have them traipsing around the world with you when you're going to different charity. It's not that they're going to charity events. So they will go to homes. They will go to really not good places where you're going to see children that are starving or crying, and then go home and cuddle your little darling. You can't.
Yeah. So maybe it's not compatible with.
No.
Not a viable option presently anyway.
And Julia Moran is doing it a long time. She's a long time. Miss Ireland is actually older than Miss World by about, and I could be wrong, it's either 5 or 3 years. So they decided if it worked in Ireland, it would work anywhere else. Because back, I think we're 78 years old. I could be killed for this now. I think Miss Ireland is 78 years old. So you think back 78 years ago, it was Catholic Ireland.
Yes. Wow. How things have changed.
It was completely different.
Yeah.
And I have interviewed Miss Ireland, Miss World, who was Irish, and she was from Cavan, and she won by default in 1962. And literally, Miss Great Britain won that year, and she posed topless for Playboy, and her 3 days after winning, posed topless for Playboy and was stripped of her crown. Miss Ireland had come second, so it automatically went to her. And she was like, no, I have to say, when I went and met her, I had the best laugh, because she was like, she didn't know how to drive, but they gave her a Mini. So the Mini was left sitting in the garden. She didn't know how to drive. Brian Thomas arrived down with silk stockings and underwear and, you know, stuff for Brian. She was like, I didn't know what was happening. And it was just, she had a great life though. And she went off to England. She was mixing all the...
It opens so many doors, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. You'll only get out of it what you put into it. If you don't work it, you can let it slip away. Do you know, you hold a title, we always say the power of that sash is amazing for good. Do you know, you walk in and people are like, oh, you know, she's Miss Ireland. Yes. And especially the kids, when the kids see the crown. And when you watch kids, when they see them coming in with the crown, they're like, it's a real life princess.
I know. It is. It's so real. But you say you have to work it. You get what you give. And you would have that mentality in life in general and in your businesses, wouldn't you, Jenny?
Yeah, like I'm a bit of a workaholic.
You can't suffer fools gladly. You'll help anybody that needs help. You'll meet them where they're at. But you do need to see people then taking ownership, stepping into their story and showing up for themselves and for whomever they're working with at a given time.
Yeah, because look, you can't have somebody come in and play a victim. And right, okay, be the victim. This is the tool that you need to help yourself. But if you keep going, oh, I can't, oh, they hate me. No, they don't. You have that in your head. And I think if you're negative, negativity breeds negativity. So if everything is, everything is going wrong in my life today, where, as I just say now, my kids to say like, oh, I'm after fall. And I said, but you didn't break your leg. That's a good side of it. They're like, Mom, do you know, but if you take in every negative, there's always a positive. So it's up to you. You're either going to be the victim or you're going to be the one that's going to carry on. If you can't do it today, do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrote in stone that you can't change.
Yeah, I think it has probably to do with your values and your core values, what you value in life. If you have established a set of values that are real to you, you'll make decisions from your values in the moments that matter. And if you haven't given that time and thought and attention, you're very likely to make emotions-based decisions, which will be, as you say, you know, having the little breakdown and considering everything is personal, pervasive and permanent. When in actual fact, if you just view it through a different lens, it could be an opportunity for you to grow and to do things differently. Is it an anchor or a sail?
That's it. Like, don't get me wrong. I do have my own times where I'm like in a room and I'm like, oh my God, what are they at? Like, I'm absolutely like, just go away. And everyone knows if I go quiet, just leave me alone. Don't come at me when I'm quiet, because if I'm quiet, I'm sorting out. I'm having the argument with myself and I'm sorting it out. Don't come at me, because then you'll just get, if you pissed me off 10 years ago, you'll get it there and then. Do you know? Yeah, like I'd be a very open book. I don't do lies and I don't like liars. So you tell me what you did and I'll help you fix it. If you don't tell me, I can't help.
Yeah.
So if you don't tell me the truth, I can't help you.
Very interesting. So in terms of, we'll say, values there, Jenny, somebody might say that they value honesty, but they mightn't tell the truth.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of values being a verb, not a noun, you know, something that we actually practice, don't just put on a wall and suggest that's our vision board done and dusted. It's something we revisit and that we actually bring into our daily practice.
And you see, my house when we were kids would have been like that. Like, no matter what my brothers did, they came in and we had a very open house. So we were allowed opinions. If the boys did something that they shouldn't have done, they could either go, depending on what it was. So they'd either go to my mother and she'd be like, if it was the girl type of trouble, she'd be like, oh, God's sake. And then if it was anything else, like, or if it was something they shouldn't have done with a girl, they'd say to my dad, and he'd be trying to sort it out. Jesus, don't let your mother know. We need to sort this out now. That type of way. But we could always come with, no matter what was going wrong in our life, and talk about it. Like, we're very big talkers in our house.
So this is your family of origin. And what about now your own lovely new family? Would you be available emotionally like that to your children, yourself?
Oh yeah, I wreck their heads. So my daughter works with me, and she'd be very much, like, clients do laugh because she'd be giving out to me. But when she was, like, my daughter she's a hairdresser, but she wanted to be a doctor. But then she met a guy when she was doing Leaving Cert, so exams and all went out, and it didn't get there. Went to do nursing, hated the nursing, wanted to do childcare, went into childcare, and she was like, oh. And I was coming to Christmas, and I was like, come in and help me in the salon. And she was always very much, I don't want to be a hairdresser. I don't want to be like you. And I'm like, just come in and do it for the. She is the most amazing colorist ever. She's probably one of the youngest that has her master's in color. Like, she's amazing. She's really good. But I would have been really hard on training her. So if she did something wrong, and I'd be like, oh, what do you have to do? Well, don't tell me like that. And I'd be like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'll go, well done, you did it so wrong. Well done to you. She'd be like, oh. But she'd be like her father. She'd be like, my husband is the polar opposite to me. My husband thinks I'm a really shy, quiet woman. And, you know, when I'm going out to different events and stuff like that, he's learned over the years. But at the start, he was like, they're going to take advantage of you. Like, and I'm like, and now he'd just be like, see, and he said like, oh, I won't know. No, she does it all. Yeah, no. If she died tomorrow, I wouldn't know how to do the wages or do any of that.
So you're a very independent person then, Jenny. Have you always been independent? You said earlier that you were quite shy though when you were young, and quite, did you say you were quiet?
I was very quiet when I was young.
Mic. Yeah.
Very quiet when I was young. Probably I was quiet in the fact that I was in my grandmother's. And my grandmother was very strong woman, and had her own business when other women weren't. Like, my grandmother smuggled contraceptive pills from Liverpool to Ireland to give to the neighbours because she was sick of them all having loads of kids. Like, so she used to become like, so I mean, we come from like rebellious women, like they all,
You're not
have their way.
risk-averse anyway.
Yeah. So, and she would have been very, like, where my grandmother's house was, there was, this is going to sound really horrible, but corporation houses were built beside her. And I wasn't allowed to mix with the people from the corporation houses. So she'd be watching you going up and down. And I'd be about 11, and, I'd see the boys coming up, and he'd be like, wait till you get around the corner, then you could talk. But I would have been very, very quiet. Until probably about, now I used to dance. I used to go to competitions and all that. But I would have been always very self-aware. And then when I was 12 or 13, I became bulimic. And back then, they dealt with it very differently. So I remember, puberty, and you're putting on weight. And I was always this really skinny, scrawny little thing. Well, I was lanky. So I was always this skinny, scrawny, misshaped. I had a cousin who was older than me. She was mixed race, and she was absolutely stunning. And on my dad's side, and my dad's mum reared her, and she'd be always like, Roz is going to be this. Roz is fabulous. She's going to be a model, and she's going to be this. And I'd be like, looking at her, she smells. And it was funny, Roz went down a total different line. Everything was given to her, and she was always told how amazing she was. And the world was her oyster, and everyone owed her something. Where my grandmother would be like, you get up and you get out and you earn your respect.
So this is your maternal grandmother, but your paternal grandmother was Roz's granny, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So she would have been different. Like, she worked in the Gresham Hotel, and my dad's mum was very glamorous. Like, my dad's family are a very glamorous family. And, like, it's sad because it's only my aunt and my uncle left. And I'm very close to my aunt. It's not that much of a difference in our ages. And, but my dad's mum was really glam, and you know, had her pink lipstick, the hair done, dressed in, you know, everything was glamorous. My mum's mum was a worker. She was only in her 40s, but probably looked about 70 because she wore the twin set and the little skirt and the flat shoes and the, you know, nude tights and the mac and the scarf. And like I'd be looking at her like she was only 40, you know.
Yes.
That's the way she was. Even though she was a strong woman, she ruled her house.
Yes. So Jenny, to go back to values then, your paternal grandmother valued beauty. And so she would have seen in Roz what she considered to be that which was worthy of value.
Yeah.
That's what she looked for and that's what she appraised. And you might have then, if you were in and around Roz's age, kind of felt, well, that's very one-sided, Granny, you know, which is why you would have had your little throwaway comments perhaps at the time, whereas your maternal grandmother valued hard work and showing up and pushing through the archetype of being female. Am I right?
Yeah, complete. They were complete opposites. And my father's grandmother passed when I was 12, like 12 or 13. I was about 12 or 13 when she passed. Yeah, because Roz was only about 16. So I was Roz was 16, 15, 16. Yeah, so I was probably about 12, 13 when she passed. And Roz's life then fell from underneath her. And there was nothing. And she was the victim then.
Okay.
And still to this day, like we haven't had contact with her my dad passed away 11 years ago. So the last time any of us have spoke to her is 11 years ago.
Oh, that's a pity. That's a pity. And when you were 11 or 12 and you say that your relationship with food wasn't very healthy, does it relate to that time when your grandmother would have valued?
No, because my grandmother would have been dead then. So I was 13 when my bulimic started. So I became bulimic 13. So 13, I cried from the day I turned 13 to the day I turned 14 with hormones. Like literally, I drove my mother and father absolutely mental. And I remember having this long denim skirt and I couldn't fit into it. And I don't know what switched, but I would be getting sick. I wouldn't eat and then I'd be getting sick. I could get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I would cook. I would bake. I would be sitting and then I would like empty it all out and go back to sleep and go to school next day and be fine. And I remember saying to my mother, we were on the bus and we were going into town. I said, Mother, I think I need to go to the doctor. And my mother's doctor used to call me, used to tell me I should be an actress, I should be in the Abbey. Because if I didn't go to school, I'd be dying 1,000 deaths. Like, and she'd bring me home. She's like, she's not well. And he'd be like, there's nothing wrong with you. You should be on the Abbey. But I remember saying to her, what if they tell you I'm anorexic? So I suffered I had really bad periods and stuff like that. So I had a lot going on. I had ovarian cysts and that when I was young. So when I was young, it was all dealt with differently. And once you're under the age of 14, it's always in the children's hospital. So it was going back and forth and I had the ovarian cysts and stuff. And then it was more about the getting sick and the losing the weight. So they take you into hospital. And how they dealt with it then was they would feed you your food, but you weren't allowed to leave the room then. So you had to stay in this room that had the mirrors everywhere so the nurses' stations could look. You weren't allowed to go downstairs. You weren't allowed to go to the toilet for an hour after your food because that's how long it takes for it to be absorbed into your stomach. If you want to get sick, you have a pillowcase. You have a sink in your room. You have a bin in your room. So doing that is not, you're kidding nobody. I would have been like that for about 8 months. And then my grandfather was dying. And I would have been very, very close to my grandmother and my grandfather. And I remember they had him in the bed in the sitting room. And he says to me, you need to give this over now. And I says, you need to be giving it over. He said, no, it's just actually ridiculous. He says, like, look at me lying here, so sick, can't eat, and look at you. So you need to give. And he passed away 2 days later. And I used to say to everyone, they fixed me that well that if I was to get sick, I'd be hungry, I'd need to eat again. Do you know? And it was just literally, you're back at that age. I think when you're going through your hormones back then, you just had to deal with it.
Yeah. So Did you felt that what your granddad said at that time?
I think it just resonated. Yeah, it just switched off whatever was switched on. And then I think I'm with that with life, with everything now, when I look at people who are really sick and they're fighting for their lives. And then you have other people out there that are just destroying their lives and give up. And you're like, there's people out there that would give anything to have their life.
But and I agree with you, but there's a very big difference between knowledge and awareness. You know, that awareness piece happened for you when your granddad said whatever it was he said. So you valued your back to values again. You valued the attention that your granddad gave you, and in that moment you felt seen, heard and valued. And so you didn't need to do that other thing in that moment. Sometimes I think the gap analysis that doesn't get done for people, whoever these people are we're referencing, perhaps that might appear to be in addiction or destroying their lives, as you say, their basic emotional needs are not met. Their addiction to whatever they're doing that is deleterious for them is usually the solution. It's not the problem. They're soothing something that's deep down. They have a secret or a sadness or a trauma. I feel that they're soothing in that moment.
All the time. I mean, I've seen people that would have everything in front of them and just like, I would put a lot of it down to your friends and your circle, your home life. What monkey sees, monkey does. You're either a leader or a follower. So if you're a leader, you're going to be the one who's going to, this is the way we're doing it. If you're a follower, oh yeah, I need you to, like my daughter would be a leader. My second would be a follower. And like Caleb, from an early age, you'd be in the airport and you'd meet somebody for 10. It's my best friend. You met him 10 minutes. He's my best friend. I don't know, he's not. You won't even know him in an hour, do you know? And then, so like everyone has their own, but I do really think it's your friends. It's your circle.
Circle of influence is huge, whether you're young or older. Some people never even mature enough to be able to notice the power of the circle of influence, and they can consume because everything is a consumable. The company you keep, the conversations you have, even the music you're listening to and what you're looking at on the internet and everything, it's all being consumed. And you're absolutely right. It is the data that's informing who you are straight afterwards.
Yeah, it really is. It's like even, people to say, like people that look at me and they go, she's so together. She has her own business. She has everything. Like she's got her own business. She's got a few pounds. I had more money when I worked for people. Like I have clients come in and go, oh, well, it's well for you. You have. And I'm like, I've got about 5 jobs. Like I don't just have one job. I work 7 days. I don't just click in and click out. I'm not a business owner that doesn't work in my salon. And then it's not only having to work in it, you have to work on it.
Yes.
And all the other bits behind. So I am a workaholic. And if my brain is not busy, well, then I'd be finding something wrong with something.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take you back to values again. You're going to say, well, you ever get off that values roundabout? So do you value work? Is this something that you value? Is this because I suppose I'm looking at it from the perspective of what's rewarded is repeated. So if you get a dopamine hit off the next challenge and succeeding at the next challenge, whether that's in your business or on your business or taking on a new challenge. I know you manage people very successfully as well. So it's not just what you do in your own space, it's what you can do for other people as well. Have you established perhaps a value within that as a very important part of who you are, part of your identity?
I don't know. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'll be when I grow up. There is many Jennies. There's many, many Jennies, and there'd be a private Jenny, where anything that needs to be kept behind, nobody will ever see or ever hear about. But I would also be I love to see people succeed. And I will always be, and I don't mind being the back person. And people to say, but you're so confident. I am confident, but I'm also so nervous. Like I can stand in front of a room of 200 people and I can speak, and that's fine. My stomach would be falling on the inside. That shaking that's going on in there, and you're literally like, okay, keep it, get it, grand. I go back to our Miss Ireland girls and that I compose them. If for photo shoots, I can tell them what way to stand. I can tell them that put me in front of a camera, and I'm like, oh, I hate my photograph. I hate getting my photograph. You'll get a photograph of me unaware. But if you ask me to stand, because I'm so aware of myself, I'm like hopeless in front of a camera. So values, no, I don't know, because I don't know who. Like I couldn't tell you who I am. Do you know? I don't think, like when I'm at home, I'm mum. When I'm in work in the salon, I'm Jen, I'm the boss. When I'm at Miss Ireland, I'm either Mammy Ireland or the bitch who's come to give out to them. If I'm managing people, I'm the one who tells them straight what it is. And I will be the one that will tell them what they don't want to hear. I'm the one in work. If people have problems, come talk to me and I'll help you. I will, as I just say, if there's something wrong with you, come and I'll fix you. Or I'll give you the tools.
Yes.
But if you're not going to do it yourself, there's only so much that can be done. Mm-hmm. Do you know? So
that's lovely. And where do you then, so you're showing up in all of these different roles very successfully, and behind the scenes, you must have a lovely, that private Jenny then has to have somewhere where she can do her downtime, where you can refuel.
That's why I go on holidays. Okay. So I like to travel.
Love traveling. Yes.
I like to travel. So when I travel, I would literally, so I'd probably travel about 4 or 5 times a year. And that's my downtime.
And is that you is it solo traveling?
No, I'd go with my husband, or I'd go with whoever I can. My husband hates to fly. And then to be like that, I'd go away with the girls. I would do different things like that. But I take my mum away. And I take my mum's sister with us. My mum's sister has Alzheimer's. And I would take her. Then she's gone so bad now that we won't be taking her. She had her last holiday with us in January. And it's too hard on her and it's too hard on my mum. But no, I like my holidays.
It's a lovely thing to reset, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going into a new environment.
And I literally switch off.
Do you?
And
Good.
I lie at
Phone
the pool.
down.
Everything.
Yeah.
I lie at the pool and that's it. Or down at the beach. Yeah. And that'll be...
It's great, Jenny, because you create that lovely white space in your brain where you can actually be so creative when you come back. Do less to do more. Yeah. Really, when you come back. It's an amazing opportunity to reset, reevaluate, regroup, and then come back guns blazing.
And and it's like people, like my staff would even know now, they'd be going, you need to be going away. You're getting tired. And I do, because with the hairdressing industry is so hard at the moment. It's really, really hard. And a lot of salons, I would work with a lot of salons, and we go away. We work with Alpha Power. So we take a trip every year. Alpha Power do a trip, and they're a great company to work with. So there'd be, I think it was like 200 salon owners would go away, and we'd mix with different salon owners from all over the world that deal with Alpha Power. And I would have a group where a lot of us chat, and but it's so hard. The industry is getting so hard. You can't keep rising your prices. Prices of living has gone so hard, and you're dealing with it. Like, people come in, like, I don't think hairdressers, I'm going I don't think hairdressers get enough credit for the job that they have behind that chair. And you're not only, so you're there, you're listening, you're working on your client, but you're absorbing everything. And people are coming in, and it's an experience, and I've made some great friends from behind my chair, and you get to know them, and you're there, the highs and the lows. And I've known before some husbands that their wives are pregnant. I've known people that have come in and their whole life is falling apart, and you're dealing with all of that. And then you have some clients that come in and they think they're coming in and they're downright rude. So I don't allow rude clients. I allow my clients to be sacked. My staff are not paid for somebody to come in to belittle them. They've paid a lot of money to train in their skill. And, you know, some people are coming in, they're going, oh, where can we get I can get that done down the road cheaper. My words would be, go.
Rock on. Knock yourself out.
Off you go.
Yes.
My staff are super trained.
Oh, I love that.
They're really good at what they do. So
you advocate for them.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Do you know, one client came in the other day and one of my staff members said to me, because I would fit anyone in. Everyone can be fitted in somewhere. And this one particular client came in and she was like, given all this, and she was like, oh, well, I'll go down the road. And I ring up down the road, make the appointment for her and send them. We don't need that in it. You know, a lot of salons are closing because they can't afford to keep the doors open anymore.
Wow.
Like rates are high, water rates are high, electricity is huge, staff bills are huge. Stock has gone up twice in the hairdressing industry. There's nothing there, you know, to help anymore. Yeah, and now a lot of salons are getting a lot of guff because the VAT rate came down. And everyone is like, well, are you not reducing your price because the VAT rate came down? We've had 3 price hikes in a year in our products that haven't been transferred over to clients. You can't put sometimes you have to absorb to keep everything afloat. But there's a lot of salons in a lot of debt. And your salon can have 20, 30 stylists in it. And I guarantee you it's making less money than a salon that has 2 or 3 stylists in it. Do you know, so
it's hard to keep the plates on sticks.
It is.
Yeah.
And I just think sometimes people think they're going in and it's anyone in the service trade that they can just like treat them like whatever way they want to. And it's like, no.
Well, I love the fact that you're willing to look at the customer service excellence from the internal perspective, because I think if you mind your staff, they're going to mind your clients, and then the business will look after itself. And part of your advocacy then is to really stand into the representation of your staff if somebody's rude and they don't recognise boundaries. I think that's where it should be
like
at.
Heritage it's my business. But if I didn't have my staff, there would be no heritage.
Yeah. Oh, well done. Well done.
Do you know?
There's a lovely goodwill about that from a leadership perspective.
Yeah.
You know, I think top-down awareness of being valued on staff will absolutely encourage people to show up and be the very best that they can be. So they'll run your business very successfully for you, bottom up, because you're looking after them top down.
Yeah, but because I also work with them.
True. Yeah, true.
So I would jump in and I would work with them. Like, we have an amazing manager and she tells me what to do. Like, I go in and they were like, can I ask her?
Yeah, but isn't that going to be able to devolve the different roles within management to different people and then hand it over, even though you're a very strong person, I'm gleaning that as we're chatting, you know, and you might like, I suppose, to be in control, and to a large extent you have to be in control. It is your business. But there's a lovely big part of control, devolving control as well. It's a huge part of the strength of character you have to just employ the person correctly, or maybe promote them into the role from within, and then really genuinely leave it with them. Maybe have weekly meetings or monthly meetings just to check in that they're okay.
And that's how people grow.
Yeah.
That's how they evolve. I wouldn't be a control freak. I would be probably the first one to look how I could DOS or mess. Now, I am a hard worker, but I would probably be the first one that would be after initiating something that's going on, and they'd all be going, oh, I don't ever come quick, run, hide. Like, I love, my juniors are not afraid to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But they'd be afraid to tell a stylist. You know, my juniors would hand me a sweeping brush and say, you didn't clean up then. I'm like, tell them. They're like, no.
Jenny, that's lovely. So again, that's the culture that's the collective personality of the place that you're working in. You're allowing them to know that that's how you're presenting. Like, you've clearly set it up so well. You've done the spade work. You've set it up so well that it runs like a Swiss clock. And therefore you can be the personality that they get along with. You don't need to be in all of the more senior management roles.
Yeah, no, I don't have to be the monster.
Yeah, you don't have to act the boss to be the boss.
No. Like, I would say a lot of the clients, when they come into the salon, wouldn't know I'm the boss.
Mm. Interesting.
You know,
that's lovely.
And I would probably be like that with everything. But then I always think, you know, people can have, like I have a couple of friends that have businesses. So when there's stuff going on, and if I go down to have a chat with them and say, well, you know, I said, well, tell them I've been down, and they have to answer to me, because it's always the person that they're not sure of is who they're more afraid of, because they're like, you can't, and I learned this from a friend of mine a really, really long time ago. You can't be a boss and work with your staff. You have to be a team member or a boss. You can't be both. So if you're going to be the team member, you're the team member. You're one of the team. We all do the same. So even with some of my staff, when I do have to have that little chat every now and again, and they will come in and they would literally say to me, have we got the boss hat or having a chat? And if it's the boss hat, they know there's no messing. Like, this is official. If it's the friend chat, open up, tell me what's going on. What's happening? What can we do? Where can we move with this? Do you know? Because, look, everyone has their own issues.
Yeah, we're all human. We're all human. We rock up to work with, a backpack of troubles from our home or concerns for our future, etc. And people's health and wellness changes on a daily basis, mentally, physically, emotionally. So you have to be a little bit flexible and fluid, I think, in a business that you want to be moving forward all the time. You have to be a little bit flexible and fluid with the human resources.
Yeah. And then sometimes you look at them and now you're probably going to get a load of people giving a load of hate on this. Mental health is thrown around very easily. Like having a mental health day. A mental health day when I was a kid was like, oh, I couldn't be arsed today. I'm not going into work. I wouldn't be ringing up going, having a mental health day. Because my boss would have been, get your ass down into the salon now. Yeah. Wherever's going downstairs outside, pick it up on your way back.
We definitely have a wellness industrial crisis moment. There's no doubt.
I think the kids nowadays have been, and I'm actually would always say you can't blame the parents, but I am going to blame parents on it now. I think we all think we were so hard done by when we were kids, and we wanted our kids not to have to do that. Our kids are going to be ruling the world in a few years' time, and they don't have the mental capacity to make decisions on their own, to stand up and say, shit, I made a mistake. The mistake was him or anyone else, but it wasn't me. Where if they stood and went, I messed up.
Yeah.
I did that. That was my problem. Sorry, I'm after costing your company $1 million. What can I do? I'm human. What can they say? Why did you do that? How can we fix it? Mm-hmm. Work it that way.
Yeah.
Where it's just, no, push it off to somebody else.
Yeah. So do you feel as a business owner that the mental health card is abused a little bit?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Even as a mother.
Yes. Yes.
Even as a mother, I think people are afraid. They're afraid to give out to their children, chastise their children, because they're afraid that they will do something. I find kids nowadays, if something has gone wrong with their life or something has happened to them in a friendship type of way, or, not everyone's going to like everyone. Not everyone's going to be the way they should be. Life wouldn't be normal life if it did. And I think some mothers try to make friends for their kids. So they're taking those tools away where they're not letting them go out and mix. Yeah. They're, the day we used to go to the Sunday discos, when you just all went in and the boys were in that corner and the girls were in that corner, and it's like they'd mix in the middle. Now it can
be quite contrived.
Yeah.
And I suppose to some extent, you might be disabling your child. They may not be learning the social skills that they need to learn by trying a start-up sentence, or maybe not playing very fairly and then falling out with their friends, and that transformation through the friction that is available to them when they fall out, but they have to make up again.
Yeah. So like that, when we were kids, if you were out fighting with your friends, you didn't go in, say to your mother, oh, Tommy's after hitting me, and my mother would go out and hit him back. Do you know, deal with it. Now, little Billy can come running and go, oh, Mum, Molly's after hitting me down the road. Billy's mum's going down to murder Molly's mum. And then you have Billy and Molly's mum having a big row, and the two kids are sitting on the field playing together.
Yeah. So it's kind of the tail wagging the dog to some extent.
Yeah, it's just, yes. I just think...
the pendulum has swung too far. No, I hear what you're saying. It's a valid point. And that, I suppose, the emotional fitness that we need to allow our children to practice as they're growing up, coming through their teens, that big growth spurt emotionally, is all about the times that they will fall and fail. And that's where they do the learning. Pick yourself
back up.
Yeah, that's where they do the learning academically and socially. You know, it's when there's an adversity and when there's a shortfall between what you desire for yourself and what you attain, whether that's in a race in the local running club or in school in your spelling test or even in one of the state exams. It's in the neuroplasticity, the one trial learning happens when you don't achieve what you thought you could or would or should. And then your brain decides, well, I'm going to get this the next time round. And then you've got the growth spurt.
Yeah, because you have to have that little bit of competitive challenge.
The drive.
And I think even and like you'd probably find this when you were teaching, I find in schools, I would hate to be a teacher. I would have, like when I went to school, I was afraid. I went to the nuns. We were afraid. Like we had Sister Nano and her duster used to like literally, it'll follow you. But I remember one of mine, my second, Caleb, getting into trouble, and I went in and I was like killing him in the car. Like, what did you do? I have to go into this. And I went in and I was sitting there and it was something about work wasn't done. And I was like, why didn't you give out to him? And she just me, well, I said, why didn't you why are you calling me in? And he says, I'm not allowed. And I saw, he says, I'm not allowed. He says, I picked up a student's book here. And he says, I held it up and said to the student, is that all you did? He says, I got suspended for 3 weeks. He said, while that was investigated. He said, because the parents put a complaint in saying, you know, I was bullying the child. And I was like, oh no, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So teachers are held that way. I also did have my youngest bullied by a teacher in primary school. And he hated school.
So there's a happy medium.
Yeah. So there is a difference.
Jenny, you're a breath of fresh air because you're brave. I'm going to go back to the values again. I'm considering that whether you've done the work consciously or not on this, because one of my values, my core values now as a grown up, is courage, and I work on courage as a value because I would have stayed in my comfort zone when I was younger. I would have been very anxious, so it was important for me to stay in my comfort zone so that anxiety wouldn't be fueled. And therefore now as an adult, having done the work or continuing to do the work, it's an unfolding process. Courage is a really important value of mine. I try and be brave and be bold and reach for bigger things and stretch myself and learn new things. And as I listen to you, you know, you're not afraid to say perhaps what a lot of people are thinking, but they're concerned that maybe it wouldn't be politically correct to say it. And I think you're kind of, you're traversing two worlds there. There's a lovely balance required between the bicep curl for the brain. We can do better. And sometimes each situation is bespoke to itself. Yeah. So that situation in school, you know, you don't want the teacher to bully your child, but neither do you want the teacher to disable your child by calling you in when in fact they could have dealt with it boots on the ground. Do your work. You know, and I was in education for 30 years and I'm still a teacher. I from the point of view that psychoeducation is part of the new role. And I think it's very important to hold space for the fact that in schools or in companies, if I'm working with companies, not everything can be taught as part of the curriculum. Some of it has to be learned passively. Some of it won't be in the mission statement. Some of it will be learned around the boardroom table where something is discussed and somebody is brave and they say that thing that scatters, and maybe people stop being so precise and so careful and they actually be themselves and be human and come out in the space and change things in the moment.
Yeah, be the elephant in the room.
Yeah. Have those conversations that we might normally keep concealed.
Yeah, I see everyone has an opinion.
Yeah.
Not everyone's opinion is wanted or good, but everyone and you have that right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I grew up, we were always very opinionated. We were always allowed to have our opinion. It mightn't have been what my mother and father might have wanted.
Yes.
But we were allowed to have it, whether it be wrong or not. You'd learn quick enough whether you were having the right opinion or wrong opinion, but you were allowed to voice your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, my dad would have been like, and I think it comes from your home life. Like anything we did in life, if we did something and we were a disaster, you'd be like, you gobshite, what are you getting upset about? Do you know, or my father's famous words, were you half a door? And he'd be like, oh, what are you whinging about? Like, just go, it didn't work. Move on. Do something else.
Yeah.
Do you know, yeah, right, you're not going to be that. And we, my brothers would all have really good jobs. I would find our youngest brother is the baby, and he married the baby of a family, and they're very precious. Like, we'd be looking at the two of them going, really? Do you know? But we all knew how to defend for ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
And like that, when my dad was passing away and we were all there with him and that, and he had some things and we were like, sure, Dad, like, you know, what, you know, there's nothing that can be done. Just send us the lotto numbers when you go on, like, you know, we'll win the lotto. We're still waiting for the lotto numbers to come. But I think when I meet more people now, and some of them tell me, you know, things would be going on in their lives, and they'd be, oh, I was told I wasn't good enough. We were always told we were amazing. You know, I had a friend and she works with me now, and she was like, she said to me years ago, do you love yourself? And I'm like, yeah, I do. She'd be like, oh. I don't love me, nobody else can.
Absolutely.
But my mum used to stand us all in front of the mirror and I'd be, I love you. Do you love you? And we'd be like, yeah. My father loved himself. He was a bar of chocolate. He could have fed himself.
Yeah.
Do you know? And that's the type of house we came from.
Yeah,
So we're very
lovely.
vocal. We're very...
Yeah. But supportive of each other, which is...
Oh, yeah. We'd be first to rip each other apart, like.
But in a real way. It's a real...
Yeah.
Because then you have the resilience to know how to repair the rupture. And that carries on into your romantic relationships and your friendships and your business relationships. And it's what facilitates how very successful you are today. So you wear all these hats. And one of the hats you wear is to represent Baltic Clinic. Am I right in saying that?
So the Baltic Clinic.
Yeah, tell me that.
So I had weight loss surgery nearly 6 years ago. Now, I wasn't huge. I lost 4.5 stone. I'm a diabetic, so I'm type 2 diabetes. So I went on Ozempic for my diabetes and I gained weight. I'm loving everybody on it now to lose weight. If you're a diabetic, you can gain weight with it. I'm insulin resistant. So there's a lot of people on the Ozempic that need a further insulin resistance, but I gained weight on it. So I always wanted a tummy tuck, and I was like, oh. And I rang and they were like, oh no, you need to lose weight first. I was like, neck of you. So I met with them, and this was all pre-COVID. I was supposed to go have my surgery done. We were on the red zone at the start, and it wasn't done until the January. So I had my surgery done, and I just built a bond up with the guys when I was over there. And I was very open about my surgery. And a lot of people were, you know, why did you not just say it to me? Like, everyone was on that walk and everyone was doing everything with COVID. And I was like, because of the industry I'm in, I come out of COVID after losing weight. 1, I'm either anorexic. 2, I'm either sniffing coke to beat the band. Or 3, I'm dying. I said, so, you know, plus I'm an open book.
It's your person type.
Yeah.
I think that's...
So I'm very open.
Yes.
And I did have clients come in after I lost weight and they were like, Jenny, are you sick? And I was like, no, I had weight loss. Oh, thank God. So I had bariatric sleeve done. And I was very open about it.
Sleeves.
I had a sleeve.
Okay.
So you can have the balloon, they don't really do anymore. Not the balloon, the band.
I heard about the balloon, actually. Funny, I chatted with Ruth briefly about that off mic last week. That's not very successful, I don't think.
No, so the balloon is. So the band is where it's put around the stomach and they fill it up and they can deflate it and inflate it. The band can slip and cause it to attach to other organs. So it can cause a lot of other issues. In Lithuania and Ireland, they don't do the band. The band is a big one in Turkey. They don't do it in Lithuania or Ireland. The balloon, you don't even have to stay in hospital for the balloon. So the balloon is inserted, popped into your stomach, then it's inflated, stays in place for 6 months, and then it pops. So if you've got to lose, so say you've got to lose about 10 to 20 kg, you can have the balloon.
It's for the smaller amount.
Okay. Bariatric surgery, to have a sleeve or a bypass, you need to be in a BMI of over 35 plus. You can't be like looking to lose a stone to have this surgery done. It's too invasive, and a proper clinic wouldn't do it for that.
And so this is what you had, is it?
Yeah, so I had a sleeve done. So what a sleeve is they cut, so your stomach should be this size.
Okay.
Drinking fizzy drinks, overeating, your stomach. I was never a big eater. So mine had stretched over time with the gas from Ozempic. So I could eat more. And I used to eat, and it's only when the surgeons explain it. So I used to eat, drink. Went to Weight Watchers for years, and they'd be telling you to drink with your food. I'd eat, drink. So the water is pushing the food down. So it's making more room for more to fit in. So I had my sleeve done. I had 70% of my stomach removed, which is not a lot. A lot of people would probably have about 95%. I would be a really bad eater, be a really picky eater. And I had my sleeve done. So I was very open. A lot of people, when you're going for this surgery, there's a lot to work on your head. And you actually need to listen. Like, they bring you in, they have chats with you, you do all your medical checks beforehand. A dietitian comes in and sits down with you, explains everything about your surgery and explains what's going to happen in the next few days. And that's fine. I had my surgery done. So when you come out of surgery, you're in hospital for 2 days. So they keep you in for 2 days. Your first day, now on my first, they won't let you out unless you've drank water. And I found it really hard. So, and I think it was like, I'm very odd with different things. So the nurse was giving me the water on a spoon, but I was convinced she was taking it out of tap water. And she copped down what it was. So I was thinking, like, tap water, foreign country, I'm going to end up with the runs here, like she's going to kill me. And she actually threw the bottle at me and went, it's bottled water. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I started and had it. It was grand. So when you have bariatric surgery, for the first couple of days, it's liquid, but it's protein liquid. So it's like 40 sips inshores. So they're a meal in a bottle. So it's not that you're not eating. You need to get nutrients in to help rebuild the body to heal. And I remember like being on it and coming out and I was having soup. And Ruth was on last week. The day she came out, I was making her vegetable soup. But you take the grain out of it. So it's only the broth that you're having. And like, she was like, I won't drink that. I tell you, she drank it. But so you're having that. And then so you have to reteach your stomach how to eat. So you're on liquids for 4 days. Then you go on to mushy. So like baby food, but you're only eating baby portions. Like a friend of mine had the surgery done a year previous to me. And I remember sending her pictures of these little Tupperware jars. I said, like, is this the size? She was, yeah. I said, you're kidding me. She said, I'm telling you, Jen, that's what. And I'm like, okay.
They're kind of like ice cube size, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
they're really like, and it's, I had a longing for scrambled egg and butcher's pudding. And I told her I would never get to week 2 to mushy foods. So I could have this scrambled egg and butcher's pudding. And it was absolutely the nicest thing ever. But it was like I had done 2 eggs and 2 slices of pudding. I had like a quarter of a pudding and about a spoonful of egg. You know, because you just can't.
Because you're full at that stage.
You're full. You can't. There's a lot of retraining. You can't gulp water down. I remember forgetting and taking a big swig of water and thought I was drowning. And I just like comes right back up because it's nowhere. It won't go in too quick.
To go, exactly.
So it had to come out. If you drink gassy drinks, you're like burping. And like you couldn't take a big swig of it and even now, I couldn't take a big swig. It'd be like, and after a year, your stomach is back to normal. So people think they have this surgery done. It's done. It's not. After a year, a lot of people can regain the weight.
No way.
So if they haven't trained or changed their way of thinking, it's much easier to eat a bar of chocolate than to have a piece of chicken. Chocolate melts and dissolves. Crisps dissolve. So it's learning that. It's learning head hunger. You can't drink for 6 months alcohol.
Okay.
Because if you're someone who has relied on your food, your addiction will go somewhere else. Like the biggest joke with me is my addiction is shopping. You know, so I'll shop or go on holidays. Life is going wrong. Somebody annoys me. I book a holiday. That's just my deal. But I was very, like, people would have followed me and it's all still on my Facebook. I never took any of it off. But I spoke about how I felt, how the head, like the first week I came home from Lithuania, we were in lockdown and I watched cooking programs morning, noon and night. I fed everyone that walked in the door, you know, just to be a part of giving them food. I'd be a feeder anyway. But it was like the different things. You see yourself, you know you're losing weight, but you still see the same you. You don't see your body shrinking. Yeah. I don't see myself now as anyway smaller than what I was before I had my surgery.
Even now, Jenny.
Even now.
Wow.
Like I know I'm smaller because obviously I buy the smaller clothes. I know I have a flat stomach because I had a tummy tuck to make that flat. But I don't see me as different. I never seen the bigger me. Like when I look at a photograph, I never wasn't. I never seen that person. I look in the mirror all day, but I don't see me in the mirror. I see whoever's in front of me in the mirror.
Okay.
So you just get that you don't see yourself.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is that because, so I'm just interested, I suppose, from a psychotherapeutic perspective, I can totally understand that if somebody's in a bigger body and they don't want to be in that bigger body, that they might look in the mirror and in that moment decide internally, I'm going to do something about this. And it might take a year or 2 years or 3 years to go on one of the weight loss drugs or to go and have bariatric surgery. So something is shifting on the inside before they actually do something to make it change.
To make a difference.
Yeah. But when you say you didn't see, you still don't see any difference, is that because you're quite healed and you didn't mind what you saw before, and now you don't value what you see in the mirror?
I don't know. Like when I was bigger, like I would have been a size 16.
Which isn't big.
No.
That's not big
and
at
I'd
all.
be an 8 now in a pair of jeans. I'd be a 12 on top. So I'm not too, like I did it right. I lost the weight. I ate. Like I know people have had the surgeon to go, I can't eat. You can't. And I will go back to your last podcast you had with Ruth, when Ruth was saying it was liquid food for 4 weeks. No, it's liquid food for 4 days.
Okay.
You're on solid food by week 4.
Okay.
Because you have to retrain the body to eat. You have to retrain your brain.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a total different mentality. You've got to know, you've got to learn. Now, it teaches you pretty quick to stop eating.
Yes.
But you've got to learn, you know, when you're full, when you're not. Some people like the weight loss and they overdo it.
Yeah.
And then they get the fear of regain.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is probably quite a typical response, but it is then, from, as you've already suggested so wisely, that's the part that you really need to work on emotionally with somebody. You need to borrow a brain and do some work on the retraining of your neural pathways. If you were always feeding your need through food or through alcohol or any other substances or processes or behaviors, when you were making your emotions-based decisions, then you really do need to hardwire a new neural pathway that will help you to not overeat in a given moment or not drink the fizzy drinks or alcohol or whatever
And
else.
like, it's so much easier to, like, if you're hungry, it's so much easier to grab a bar of chocolate.
Yes, of course.
And eat that bar of chocolate than sit down and have a sandwich or
a chicken fillet, as you say, because you're getting
anything.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's a lot. But then when I had mine, I was in the gym. Now, I'd love to get addicted to the gym again. But I was in the gym and I would have been in there and it was great. And I think the gym gives you a total different mind space. And I think getting out there and walking. Now, I won't do anything that will hurt me. I do Pilates and stuff. And that's a really tough one. But like, I'm not one of these, if something hurts. If something hurts, I'm like, hey, no. I don't do pain.
Jenny, I appreciate that. I can't remember who I was chatting with at one point, and they were asking me, what do I do? It was on our own show here. And I can't recall. I think it might have been, it was Niall O'Loughlin who very kindly gifted me the caricature. And he said, because you do boxing, don't you, Síle? And I was thinking, I do boxing. So I was waiting for my moment to be very honest and authentic and say, no, I don't. But on a previous podcast, he would have seen 2 seconds of me boxing a bag with one of our other guests, the gorgeous Dan Glynn. And that was just part of my research in advance of our chat, that I went over to his gym in Navan, and we literally, his beautiful little colleague took 2 minutes footage of me boxing a bag. And so it looked like I thought, well, I have to be really honest here. And like you, the most I do now is wear a weighted vest and I walk. But I love doing that. But if I wear a weighted vest and walk and little weights on my wrists, that's it. I'm doing my resistance training and my walking and I'm out in nature. And like, from the second I leave, I'm on my way home. So I'm not losing time driving to a gym, and it works. It works for me.
Like, everyone has their own little thing
that they do. Yes.
Yeah, everyone has. And it's just finding the happy medium. Like, the crew in the Baltic Clinic are great, and the contact that they would keep with each and every one of their patients is brilliant. But they will also be very harsh, and like, if you're asking to have a surgery done that they do not think you need, they have no problem in saying no, which I think is really good.
So their ethics and their governance is good and reputable.
If you're having problems, they will be always there to give you, like, and they will be, maybe, they would have sometimes they'd say to me, Jenny, this patient is on, would you ring them and have a chat with them? And
so you mentor people now that are considering going to Lithuania, do you?
Yes, some of them I would. So when the doctors are coming over to do, like, they'll do information days and they will have chats and stuff like that. So I would be there, and sometimes they just want to speak to an Irish person that's been through it. And I'm not medical, so I can't give a medical opinion, but I can give you my version of what happened. I can tell you how a lot of people that have gone over, how they've dealt with it, and the different things that you need to be sure of.
So you make it more relatable to them. Yes.
Yeah. It's nervous having.
Oh my goodness, I
having surgery.
Imagine.
And
and Ruth was very lucky she had you going with her. Would everybody have somebody going with them?
No, I went, now when I had mine, I went on my own. Now when I say I went on my own, there was 3 other people there that I knew 2 of. And there was a girl who knew none of us. And it was COVID, so we weren't even allowed to sit down in the hotel lobby or anything. So we were all in our rooms. So you were very on your own. But like, I found talking into my phone as if I was, because everyone of them was coming up and I was going live. So they were giving their feedback and asking questions, and, so it was great that way.
Yeah.
And I used to go live every evening for about 6 months and give an update, and, people go like, you're looking amazing. And I lost 4.5, and I kept the 4.5 off, and then menopause hit. I'm very young. I'm only 30 going through menopause. It's just not good. But then menopause hits and everything goes back into asshole way. Do you know?
Where hormones make it very, yeah.
And then they do HRT, you'll gain weight. No, you won't. Well, they tell you won't until you try it. And you're trying all these and your brain is going to fuzz. I can't remember half the people or half the things I want to say.
And if you reference back to your adolescence and puberty, you found hormones very difficult. So you might be struggling a little bit with hormones again, perhaps. It might be in your temperament, in your phenotype.
Yeah, just mental anyway. So just the nut house will be calling soon.
Jenny, so that's very interesting. And of course then Ozempic is a hormone as well. So maybe, who knows, I don't know, but maybe you do struggle a little bit with hormones. Maybe your body finds it hard to find that homeostasis.
Yeah, it's just, look, it's just one of those things. But, you know, with menopause now, a lot of more people speak about it. So it's more like the common joke now in our salon.
Yeah, I'm slightly concerned actually about the amount of chat, because I often think now sometimes people are presuming symptoms that they don't even really have, just because we have meno halo on everything. And
I'm perimenopause.
I know. And I'm like, hats off to all of the wonderful people who are have fabulous platforms to allow everything to be discussed. And it's great. It is absolutely great that it can be chatted about and talked about, and people can feel better in themselves and access whatever supports and resources they need. However, I do feel a line in the sand piece is coming down the road as well, because otherwise people they're cycling in the same story, and everybody has a narrative tap in. If somebody says what they're experiencing, somebody else has a bigger and better story of the same thing. And it probably reverts back to what you were the lovely atmosphere in which you were speaking about in your salon earlier. There comes a time when you just have to be brave and be your best self, and move on a little bit as well. That's now notwithstanding, some people really do suffer. I'm very, very post-menopause and very, symptom free and loving life, and I don't really remember. I don't know if this will give some other people maybe permission to consider the same thing, but I don't really remember any major symptoms at all. I remember flooding at one point, a period of flooding.
I don't think people speak about the flooding. They speak about everything else. They speak about the brain fog. That's an overactive brain.
That can be other things as well. There can be a Venn diagram there where a lot of things.
Yeah, so there's a lot of now itchy ears. That's a huge thing. And I went into the chemist the other day and I was like, I have so itchy ears, menopause ears. Just me. Are you using anything? I said, the doctor gave me drops. She says, how are you finding? I haven't used them. It's just so many different.
Yeah, I wonder though, Jenny, just to hold space for the fact that, and again, we say this with pure respect for absolutely everybody to have whatever they choose to have, but also when you hear things very often, you can assume them by accident, because as we said earlier, everything is in the head, and that's not to be depreciating, but everything that we feel, our bodies are keeping score. So everything that we think we have starts up here. So if we can think differently in a lot of cases and get into the feeling state of being better in a lot of cases. And
that's even the same way with anyone that has surgery. So they can go into body dysmorphia and you can see everything wrong about your body. And that's a whole different topic where it's more like they get a high from every little bit of surgery that they have done.
Oh, wow.
So I think it takes a really strong clinical hospital to say, no, we don't think you need to have that.
Surgery.
Yeah.
So you said that you had a tummy tuck. Was that after?
I had a tummy tuck a year after I had my weight loss surgery done. As I said, that's all I thought I ever needed until the nurse said, no, you need to lose weight, Jenny. And that was fine. But yeah,
what did that look like? So you went back to Lithuania?
I went back to Lithuania. So after I had my bariatric surgery, I was so open about it, then other members of friends and family and that. So I was going back and forth, and I actually love Lithuania. And they're a different type of people. They're very different. They're really beautiful looking. The females in Lithuania are so tall and so fabulous. They're gorgeous. But then they're all in, there's different parts of Lithuania. So it's very hard to see. So when you're going to where the clinics are, it's more the wealthier part of it. So they're all going to look very polished and very good looking. But when you're in having your surgery done, and I had my weight loss surgery, and then I was going back to have, you have to be in a frame of mind. Like I went back to have my tummy tuck done. You have to be at your final gold weight and you have to have a stable weight. So you can't be losing and you can't be gaining. You need to be stable for at least 6 to 3 months. So I stopped losing weight 6 months after my surgery. And you have to be stable then, because there's no point in you having a tummy tuck done, then losing more weight, then you're going to have
Skin.
sag again.
So is that why you went? Because
I had a pouch here from having the kids, and that was fine. So but when I went to have my tummy tuck done the first time, they wouldn't do it. So I went down, I was marked up. The war in Ukraine had only broke out about 3 or 4 days beforehand. And I went over and I had all my markups done, and I was down with my surgeon, and he had marked me up, and then we did all the photographs done, and I'd been live, and I was like, I've had my markups done, I'm going down to theatre in half an hour, I'll update you all tonight when I come back. And everyone's like, oh, good luck, good luck, good luck. And I'm sitting there and I could see 3 of them coming in and out and back in and out, and I was like, what do you do? Like, will you come on? Like, me go? Like, they're in and they're out. And then the anaesthetist comes in and he was like, Jenny, you can't have your surgery done today. And I was like, okay, your hemoglobin is too low. And like, if you have your surgery done, you could die, or you may not heal properly, or you could go on the plane and have her. I said, it's okay. I'm grand. I'd rather be alive. Yes, it's fine. No point getting me tummy tuck and being dead. I'll be fine. And he was like, and the rest of my country, we were so afraid you were going to kick off. And I was like, well, no, I'd rather be alive. I said, and then it was like the reality. And I was like, well, now I'm going away and and I'm after buying all this stuff to wear. Like, when can I get this done? They're going, we need to build your hemoglobin up. Like, you are anemic. Like, it's not safe. So I was like, okay. So we set a plan in place, and they gave me the medication that I needed. And I came home and I went back 8 weeks later, but I had my bloods done before I went back over.
So how had you become anemic? You weren't.
So when you have your sleeve done, you're not getting. I would have suffered really, really heavy periods.
Yeah.
So, and then with having the sleeve done as well. So there was different things. Sometimes with having the sleeve done, you're not absorbing enough B12 or different nutrients, or you're not getting enough iron. So you need to be taking your vitamins. If you're not on your vitamins,
because you can't get it in your food.
Because you're not getting enough food. You're not getting enough in it. You're not getting enough red meat to get your iron, or fish. You're not getting enough. So you need to take your supplements to replace what the body needs. Like, the body is pulling here to get what it needs. So I was anemic, and I built it up, and then I was grand. But then I had suffered really, really heavy periods. So I'd been anemic on and off for years with the periods. And that's all leveled out now, thank God. But so
that
I had
might be something to do with menopause.
Yeah, because I'm not. Yeah, totally. That's one good thing.
Are you still in peri, or
I couldn't tell you where I am or what I am.
Okay. You've not reached the year point of no periods yet. Then.
Not yet. I was like 6 weeks off it, and I got a period. And I was like, are you actually kidding me? Do you know, like 6 weeks?
I know.
So look, it is what it is. But so I had to go back then 8 weeks later, and I had my tummy tuck.
Okay.
And that was fine. And I remember
How was it as surgery? Was it by comparison?
That's fine.
Was it as difficult as the previous surgery?
As the sleeve?
Not comparable?
No, the sleeve is not painful. So it's not painful at all.
How can that be?
So
I cannot understand
keyhole.
That. Okay.
So it's like having gallbladder.
Yeah.
So if you've ever had a gallbladder removed, I've never had a gallbladder. So I've never had surgery until I had my bariatric. So it's keyhole. You have a little dull ache. That's it. You might have a bit of wind. They put a drain in to drain the wind. So I'd been following, before I had my surgery, I'd been following all these different people, and I'd been looking at all the things that they were saying. And
so you knew what to expect.
Yeah, but there was nothing to what, like, I was expecting all this major pains in your shoulders, not, sit up so you get the gas out and all this. And I was like, none of that. Like, I had a panic attack when I woke up from surgery. Because I've never had an anesthetic before, I woke up really quick and then I had a panic attack. And they weren't sure whether I was having a panic attack or whether I was having a heart attack.
Yeah.
And they had the heart team in, and then they had the surgeon in, and he was like, Jenny, where is the pain? I was like, serious, not my problem. Think she's having a heart attack. And it was like, but, and it was just a pure, because the anaesthetist said to me, you know, when you're going to sleep, you're going to, like, when I'm waking you up, I'm going to call your names, but you're going to want to stay asleep, but I need you to wake up. So I'd say
at that stage.
I went in and this was what was on my brain, and I'm not very trusting. And I was like, rah, rah. So as soon as they called me, I was like, oh, but they were like trying to lie. And I was like, oh no, I have to sit up now. If I don't sit up, I'm going to get wind. They were like, no, you need to lie back down the bed. Like, we need to bring you in, put you into your bed. But I was fine after that. And then like that. So they know when I had my tummy tuck, they gave me that little bit extra. Now, they probably woke me up in there and I was probably just too out of it not to know. And then I just woke up on my own, snuggled up in my bed in the fetus position, out of the nicest sleep ever with my tummy tuck.
And is it a large scar, a small scar?
So it's hip to hip.
Yeah.
Mine is hip to hip.
Is that an amnioplasty or is that a...
No, that's the one that's just literally like is from the pubic area.
Yes.
Mine, a tummy tuck is hip to hip, so it's like literally takes that whole fold. I had 12 centimeters off my muscle, where babies, I was really big when I was pregnant, so it had stretch. So I had 12 centimeters removed. With the tummy tuck, you can either have normal tummy tuck, which is hip to hip, 360, or a body lift. Extended or 360. So extended goes just past the hips, and then 360 is like all the way around.
Oh gosh, all the way around your back.
All the way around, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So it's more like a bit of a body lift.
Yes.
So it depends on how much weight somebody has had to lose. Like,
so much healing required after that, wouldn't there, Jenny? You need to be very careful.
You need to have, like that, you need to prepare yourself.
Yeah, of course, mentally and emotionally as well.
Mentally and physically.
Yes.
You need to be prepared. Like, I know when I was going over to have my tummy tuck done the second time, there was a girl over there and she called me on Instagram. She was like, don't do it. I was like, what? She was there. She was only a day out. She said, don't do it. I was like, what? It's excruciating. Oh my God, it's the worst pain I've ever had in my life. And I was like, oh, you're actually kidding me.
Why did you
And this
ring
is
me?
like the day before,
Stop.
and I'm like, oh my God. And then another girl, I was talking to another girl, and she was after having her son, and I was like, how are you feeling? She says, Jenny, expect the worst, and it's not going to be like that. So I said,
Comes
okay.
back to attitude again, doesn't it?
And I went in and I was fine. Now, you're a little bit bent over and you're a little bit like, you're a little bit sore. But once you do what you're told, everything is fine. But this one particular girl that rang me not to know, when I went in and I seen her in the hotel, and I was like looking at her and I was like, oh my God, she had a walking stick. She had flown her friend over. Our friend didn't shove the walking stick up her arse, I don't know. And if she watches this, she'll know exactly who I'm talking about. Like, she just played a victim.
She was more fragile than some others.
She was a young one.
Yeah.
Like, she dropped something and she was like, oh, you need to pick that up for me. And I'm like, seriously?
Yeah. Well, this comes back to your attitude again then. This is your survival instinct, your get up and go kind of Colleen. Not everybody, we all have a different temperament.
Everyone is different.
Yeah.
And I do think if there's somebody else there, I think if there was a couple there that had surgery, so I was watching and looking after them. So I think I go very much into mommy mode.
Yeah.
So I will forget about what's going on with me to make sure everyone else is okay.
Yeah. Jumping into your phenotype. Tell me, would you have anything else done?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a facelift done in a little bit of time.
Jenny, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I'd
At
like to get
21,
this.
why would you? At 21, sure you don't.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saving up, so, you know, by time, like Caitlyn Jenner,
got my
she looks
confirmation money.
amazing. Do.
Would you actually?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Anything else?
No.
Then,
No. Everything else is fine. Do you know, no, that would probably be
face
it.
is fine as well, can I say?
Well, it is
from
now.
where I'm sitting.
It is now, but in a few years' time, I'm not saying it's going to happen anyway soon, but in a few years' time, because if you're too young having it done, you're going to have a redone again. So if I get it done, I'm only going to get it done once before I get put into the coffin.
What about even then? Let's bring it right back to even the likes of Botox and
I love a bit of Botox.
aesthetics.
Mine is all gone off. I love a bit of Botox. Yeah. Love a bit of Botox. I trained in
did you aesthetics
and love it. Love it. And it is a true art.
Yeah.
Now, there is a lot of people that I've trained. I did about a year and a half of training. I don't
practice.
I don't practice. I'm very much, I need to know. And there's some amazing people out there that do it. And then like that, you've got, like when you see about people and they're going, oh, you know, this guy, 14, doing it up in his attic and it has destroyed this people's face. What are you going to a 14-year-old for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are you going to anyone in
the governance
in a
is
bedroom?
really important. Like everything else, even as we speak about Lithuania and your experience, we're not advocating that anybody else does it. Everybody has to look into governance themselves, and everybody has to check in with their own health and wellness. And as you say, more importantly than anything, their own mindset.
Their own mindset
is key. It's key, and alignment with a sense of self, the far side of the process as well. You know, trying to see who they're becoming, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well, and teeing everything up together.
Because a lot of people think when you've had the surgery done, you've changed something. And it can be very hard on partners because they're seeing a transformation in the person that's there. And then they're evaluating, where is their relationship going? Is it going to be? Because look, there is a lot of people that have had surgeries done and they've left their marriages, and the other partner then is like blaming the surgeries, where you're going, well, obviously there was something not right there first. You know, I've seen it with a lot of people that have had surgery done, that their relationships have broken down. Sometimes that person just falls in love with them again, and they don't want to settle.
It can be the catalyst for change. It isn't the change, but it can be the catalyst for change, like any other personal transformation can be. It won't necessarily be, but it can be when you do the work as such.
That's it. Like you know, it's not, look, you can be a size 20 and be so in love, and when you're a size 8, be the same person in love. I think we all go through different stages in our life, and I think marriages go through different stages. I'm 14 when I met my husband, you know, so we've gone through so many different stages. Like you've got the kid stage, then you know, you're young and you're stupid and you're off getting wasted, drunk, and, you know, the discos and nightclubs. Then it comes to the grown up part where you've got the home and you've got the children, and the children are small, and it's out to work and back to work, and it's like kids, house, work, and that's where it goes. Then the kids get that bit older and you get that little bit more freedom, and you sort of forget your own identity, and you sort of drift away, and you go one way and they go that way. And then that's where you need to be working. You know, if like you've got your mates, you're going out and I'm going with my mates and I'm going this way, and the only time we come back is in the middle is because the kids are there, and it's like, wait, hang on.
Yeah, you have to evaluate at that point.
Yeah, you have to take time. Yes. Then you get to the teenage, and the kids your life then just becomes a taxi. So it becomes work, taxi. Oh yeah, seeing you there. Yeah, you're going to work. All right, see you there. Did the kids no, he needs to be dropped there. She needs to be picked up. And I go, okay, right, grand. And then they start to move out. And then it's like, oh, hey, who are you?
Yeah.
Do you know, so I do always say to people that come into the salon, to young mums and that, like, always, I don't care what you do, but always take a week away, just the two of you. And my mum and dad were very much like that. They always made sure. Now, look, my mother, love my mother to bits, but my mother would take the kids and you'd be in a hotel and she'd ring you next morning, are you on your way home? God, you were actually kidding me, we'll have to waking up. What are you, look? And I'd ring me that, and he'd be like, don't mind her. The kids are wrecking her head, don't mind her. Do you know? But you have to make that time.
Yes.
You have to grow and not be afraid to be vocal.
Yes.
And if, like, look, every marriage has rows. A marriage that doesn't have a row in it, either both of them are having an affair or it's a marriage of convenience, because reality.
I think you have to reinvent all the time. At least every time when you move into a new decade with your partner, if you're with them for a very long time, you have to kind of marry them again, per se. Now, I don't mean the
but you
renewal
have
of vows,
to. You have to, like, you fall in and out of love. You become different people. My husband was very worried when I was losing the weight, because he thought I was going to run off and leave him. Do you know? And I was like, "Are you actually kidding me? Like, I'd like to be on my own. Do you know? Like, God forgive me if my husband was to leave, or God forgive if anything happened to him, if he died or anything. I'd be on my own. I wouldn't be dealing with answering to anyone else."
Yeah, I think a lot of women, as they go through life and they self-actualize, I think you'll probably find that if a woman left a relationship, it is usually to be on her own. Whereas if a man leaves a relationship, it is usually to be with somebody else. I think I think there's a difference in the reasons why people might evolve differently out of long-term relationships.
Yeah, it's just, and then you just see people that have been together for years and decide to get married after 20, 30 years, and then it all falls apart.
Yeah.
You know, you just, look, my thing is, what's meant to be is meant to be.
Yeah, and life is a learning curve, and what works today won't necessarily work tomorrow. In any of the things we've talked about, in how we perceive ourselves when we look in a mirror, or how we feel about life in general, it's lovely if you can have sort of beginner's mindset every day and just look at each new day as a new beginning, die to the past, look forward to the future. I know it's quite, it's a bit of an ideology in some ways, but if you can keep it as simple as that, keep it stupid simple, as Tom McKenna said on the show here a few months ago, it really does come down to that. The peace you have in your heart is really going to determine how your day is.
Yeah.
On any given day.
That's it. I mean, if you wake up and you're in the horrors and you're going to fight with everybody, stay in bed.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Well, tell me this now, Jenny. Where can people find you? And you've given us so much content, so much food for thought in all of that. Where can people go on and connect with you and find out more if they'd like to pick up on any of the things that we've talked about today?
Oh, Instagram. So I'm Jenny Russell 007 on Instagram. Shows you how old my Insta is. I was on it before all the cool kids. Or you'll find me in Jenny Russell on Facebook.
Okay.
That's normally how my kids find me, on Instagram, to see where I am.
Funny. You're so funny. Well, listen, Jenny, it has been an absolute pleasure. I'm so grateful to you for coming here today.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And I hope we'll see you again.
I'm sure you will.
And there you have it. Well, today's conversation was a powerful reminder, as we said in the intro, that transformation begins long before it becomes visible. It begins in the space between what we experience and how we choose to respond to that experience. Our brains are constantly learning from what we rehearse and loading up the reticular activating system to match us onto more of exactly that. The direction of our attention becomes a compass. Perhaps this is especially important for those of us who are natural carers, empaths, people pleasers, quietly anxious people. You know, those who haven't yet worked out the origins of their personality type and how they think, act and feel in a certain way and why that is the case. Also, those who are instinctively inclined to try and support and uplift others, as Jenny discussed today, has been both a state and a trait presentation of her person type all her life. Our greatest gifts, though, require our greatest awareness as well. I mean, when does caring become carrying? When does helping become rescuing? When does giving become forgetting ourselves? And of course, the answer isn't to become less compassionate. It is, in fact, to include ourselves in the compassion statement, to recognise that the way we direct our attention towards others is also a gift that we can offer ourselves. And so, dear listeners, your task for this week is to work out who you desire to be and what that's going to look like. Begin to notice who you're becoming. Is your person type an anchor or a sail? Check in with the direction that your internal compass is guiding you towards and see if you like where it's taking you. Then embody the new you. Think like the person you're becoming. Walk like the person you're becoming. Talk like the person you're becoming. Go to bed and get up in the morning like the person you're becoming. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Eat, move, drink like the person you're becoming. And then ask yourself, what would this future version of me be giving attention to today? What would they notice? What choices would they make? Because transformation is rarely one giant leap. It's created through the small, consistent moments where we align our attention with our intention. You don't simply get what you want just because you identify an end goal. Alignment is key. You get who you are. And when you become energetically aligned with who you're choosing to be, you remember your future into your present. Does that make sense? Think about it. You can overthink the bad stuff into existence. Well, you can equally overthink the good stuff into existence. Be a bit delusional. It's a very good place to start manifesting the desired feeling state into the generous present moment. And from there, in my opinion, the rest is a given. What you hold in vibrational escrow drops organically out of the vortex and into your world. Of course, thinking it alone won't do it. Feeling it like you've already got it is the trick. As William James said, my experience is what I agree to attend to. So, my dear friends, this week, choose consciously, direct your attention wisely, and become and remain an active participant in the life that you're creating. And so it is.